I'm so sick of the race debates. As I type this, some retard on Destiny stream is verbally brainstorming ways to ethnically cleanse blacks from the country, and I've heard this conversation no fewer than a dozen times in the past few months. Please end this misery. Enough is enough. It's the same fucking conversation time and time again. Nothing ever gets figured out. No one ever agrees on anything. Destiny delivers the same canned line at the end of every debate. Okay, buddy. Well, I don't think we're going to agree on this. His guests are beyond obnoxious. The conversations drag on so fucking long, it's utterly ridiculous. I get that the whole JonTron fiasco brought Destiny a bump in notoriety, and any entertainer would be stupid not to ride that wave, but holy shit, this is some next level dead horse beating. There is merit in constructive discussion, but the people Destiny brings on don't want that. They want debate for debate's sake, which is so much worse since any concession to the other's point is seen as a loss, so no one ever concedes anything. In fact, people go out of their way to disagree with Destiny on what could be otherwise be non-controversial. Please, I beg you, Destiny, stop inviting random Twitter shit-talkers to debate with you for 2 hours about the same shit over and over and over again. No one cares what Pussy Slayer 97 thinks about race versus IQ, and no one cares if you can totally destroy them in a debate. If you do want to keep doing this, keep it short, keep it focused, moderate the conversation, don't let them dictate it, don't ask if there is anything else they want to talk about, have interesting people on your show, have educated people on your show, have intellectually honest people on your show, stop having Pussy Slayer 97 on your show, go just a little further than your Twitter mentions for guest material. The watchability of your stream depends on it. Okay, so let's go in a little bit about some memes, okay? So here's something that happens, okay? We tend to listen to people that we agree with, okay? And we tend to agree with people that we agree with. There are conclusions, and that's it, right? So let me give you an example, okay? What people tend to do is people shop for conclusions, okay? And when they find people that give them these conclusions, then they will sit here and hang out with them. It doesn't matter how the fuck they got to these conclusions, all right? As long as they got there, then these are cool dudes, okay? So let's say that we love redheaded people, okay? Well, let's say that some dude says that redheads are genetically the superior race, and redheads are literally God sent from the sun to hang out with us. Well, okay, whatever. I don't care. It's all cool. I mean, he likes redheads and I like redheads, right? We're cool, right? Basically, as long as people agree with your end point of view, you'll listen to everything they say, okay? That is not my goal when I talk. I do not want a bunch of people that randomly or that mindlessly follow all of my conclusions. It's not usually my goal when I'm having these conversations. My goal is to get you to analyze your thought process, to understand other people's thought processes, and put together coherent thoughts at the end, okay? This is my goal when I talk. I try to demonstrate a coherent thought process. I try to deconstruct the arguments and thought processes of other people, and then I try to show you like ways that I think are superior in putting together, you know, good, cohesive, coherent, consistent, that was a lot of co-words, thoughts, okay? So this person, I believe, has failed to do so, and I think that I can demonstrate through this post alone that he has failed to understand a few things that make it seem like this is the kind of person that is shopping for a conclusion. So let's go forward on this a little bit, okay? As I type this, some retard on Destiny stream is verbally brainstorming ways to ethnically cleanse blacks from the country, and I've heard this conversation no fewer than a dozen times in the past few months. So the caller that I had on yesterday was the race realist guy, right? Was actually one of the most well-spoken ethnic cleansing dudes that I've had on here, okay? He was very well-spoken. So, please, so the fact that he would say that he's like verbally brainstorming ways, and I've heard this conversation no fewer than a dozen times. I don't think we've had this conversation on stream yet with a real like ethnic cleanser dude that was like wholly like intelligent and coherent the entire time he was talking. Okay. Enough is enough. It's the same fucking conversation time and time again. Not really. I don't think I've ever quite had the conversation that I had with the last guy that I had last night. Nothing ever gets figured out. This is not true for me. I hope it's not true for you, but it's definitely not true for me. We listened to a 2.5-hour conversation between Sam Harris and Charles Murray, where I gained a little bit more respect for Sam Harris, which is probably a good thing, and I gained a whole lot more respect for Charles Murray, right? We got a much better understanding of what's going on in the bell curve without having to sit down and fucking read it, right? And we got a much better understanding of how illegitimately some people try to frame the book, which gives us an insight into the people that we argue with, because we know that they're quoting a book at us that doesn't support what they say it supports. We know that a lot of their other arguments might be weak. And I personally have learned a lot of different stuff, and I've gotten to talk to multiple PhD level people about genetics and heritability of traits and the differences in genes across continents. And I'm halfway through the fucking Guns, Germs, and Steel book, and I'm sure I'll learn more for people that are critiquing things about that, right? I'm learning lots of shit that I had never known before, okay? So this is all very interesting to me, okay? I get to read a bunch of different studies. I get to expand my general pool of knowledge, and hopefully you guys are kind of along for the ride doing the same, more or less, right? Because anything I talk about on stream, I'm going to talk about multiple times, and you're going to hear it and absorb some of it. So we all become a little bit smarter, right, as a result of this. I would hope, okay? It is not enough to identify somebody with a disgusting thought and say you are wrong, okay? That is insufficient for you as a human being. As much as you want to do it by reaction, okay, you need to understand that it is not enough for you to do this. You need to be able to rationally deflect, okay, disgusting thoughts. You can't just have an emotional revulsion to it. That's not enough, okay? Because it doesn't get you anywhere. And the other side does it to you and you're just lost. His guests are beyond obnoxious. The conversations drag on so fucking long, it's utterly ridiculous. Last night's guest was not obnoxious in the slightest. I think he was actually pretty respectful. I don't think he was at all obnoxious. I get that the whole JonTron fiasco brought Destiny above notoriety, and any team to be stupid not to ride that wave. We're not really riding any wave. This is more or less what I've been doing on stream over the past, year, right? Is talking to people, debating, discussing, whatever, right? There is merit in constructive discussion. The caller last night was pretty constructive, but the people Destiny brings on don't want that. I disagree. They want debate for debate's sake. I disagree, which is so much worse since any concession to the other point is seen as a loss and blah, blah, blah. People go out of their way to disagree with Destiny. In what way did that guy last night go out of his way to disagree with me? I can think of maybe one thing that he seemed a little inconsistent on. I don't remember what it was, but I remember there was one thing that I felt like he was really inconsistent on. Fuck, what was it? I don't remember. Please, I beg you, Destiny, stop inviting random Twitter shit talkers to debate with you for 2 hours about the same shit over and over and over again. No one cares what this guy thinks about race. So I don't care about the person. I care about the thought process, right? I don't care if I'm talking to a random or really intelligent person. That guy that I talked to last night was one of the most intelligent people that I've talked to in terms of constructing thoughts. Now, I disagreed with a lot of what he said, but I would much rather have a million conversations with that guy than a single conversation with fucking Sargon or Lauren Southern or people that don't even understand logical thought processes, okay? These are bottom of, when you're talking about a conversation with Lauren Southern or Sargon of Akkad or JonTron, right? These are people that are more famous, but it's the conversations are not satisfying. Whereas I would much rather have a conversation with the guy that I spoke to last night, somebody like JF. Even if I'm disagreeing with a lot of the things they're saying, at least I can appreciate their thought process. And there's a platform to communicate with, right? Keep it focused, moderate the conversation, don't let him dictate it, don't ask if there's anything else you want to talk about, have interesting people on the show. Interesting? What do you mean by interesting? People that agree with you, with everything that you say? I thought the last guy was very interesting. Have educated people on your show. The last guy sounded really intelligent. Have intellectually honest people on the show. So in terms of intellectual honesty, I think that maybe some of the studies that he was citing, he might have had problems with them. I don't know if that means he hasn't read them or he disagreed with the conclusions or he's just pasta spamming from other places. I don't know. I'll know more once I dig into him a little bit more. But, so, yeah. All right, let's dig into some of these. What I don't understand with race realists is why do they bring up IQ as an argument? When they value IQ, why don't they say we should take all the smart immigrants and deport stupid white people? Charles Morales pointed out that racism also correlates with lower IQ. Okay, so this is a good argument. I'm happy that this is posted and upvoted. When they value IQ, why don't they say we should take all smart immigrants and deport stupid white people? The problem is that a person who believes that might actually think that would be a good idea. He might say something like, when he talks about eugenic, peaceful ethnic cleansing, he might say something along the lines of after we deport all of the blacks and Asians and whatever, then after that, we start working on the dumber whites and we deport them too. That could be a logical extension of what he's saying, right? He might not disagree with this point. But I don't understand. It's smoke and mirrors. They don't give a shit about IQ. They just want the white family to be away from all the other people. I have talked to a lot of them. So I know this guy. I see him defending me a lot on my own subreddit where I get attacked all the fucking time. So when we're talking about these arguments, right, it's very easy to dismiss the argument by going, oh, he doesn't really say he doesn't really believe what he's saying. He just wants the white family, right? This is a straw man of the caller yesterday, and it's highly uncharitable, and it's easy to attack, right? This isn't, which is all kind of a straw man. man, right? This is not fair, okay? When somebody goes through the effort of constructing a well put together argument, for you to just go, well, he didn't mean any of that, he just wants the white family, I don't think that's very fair, okay? Because you can easily turn this around in a very phallicyclical, in a very fallacious way. To me, it's all smoke and mirrors. Destiny doesn't give a shit about diversity or equal rights. It's just about multiculturalism, to be with a bunch of people and prep the bowl. I have talked to a lot of them, right? You could easily turn that argument around on anybody that is against eugenics or race realism and just say, oh, it's multiculturalism, diversity, right? Like Lauren Southern does on her Twitter all the fucking time. Don't take yourself down to this level. This is irrational, and it doesn't counter any of the arguments that were made last night. There are even polls on Twitter asking white nationalists whether they would prefer a higher IQ society with diversity versus a lower IQ society with purity. They overwhelmingly, like 80%. Yeah, but we're not talking about these polls, okay? Let's address the arguments that the specific guy, right, made. Destiny, he posted this. Leftist Twitch streamer schooled for 2 hours on group difference. Oh, he posted this thread? I don't even care. I don't really care. Because, again, we're not concerned with this guy, right? Our goal isn't to be as good as the people that we think are disgusting, right? That's not our goal, right? We don't want to be the same as them. That shouldn't be our goal, right? If you truly consider yourself to be a rational, better person, and I see that a lot. It happens in my chat. It happened when all of you guys were making fun of him for having a lisp, right? That's not like, why attack him on that ground, right? If you think is like, when I see people do that, what it screams to me, when people do it to me, when people personally attack me, I'm usually thinking you're doing it because you can't attack my arguments. And as a streamer and a pretty public person, I know this to be true because if my arguments are bad, people scream it from the rooftops. If I quote something incorrectly or if I list a stat that's not true, people will fucking spam that shit. Yes, you were wrong about that, right? But when I've got thousands of people, right, or after the JonTron thing, tens of thousands of people tweeting at me, personal attacks, I'm a communist, I tell my friend to kill himself over, it's like, okay, well, I actually feel pretty good because if this many people are shitting on me and they're all just personal attacks, I guess my arguments were pretty strong, right? So when I see a bunch of people in my subreddit, thankfully you guys didn't do it as much, but like in the live stream fail subreddit, like just making fun of his list, it's like, well, fuck, you don't have anything for any of the arguments that he's saying? It's just personal attacks, right? Like, I don't like this. You can't trust these people. They often literally just make up stories, blah, blah, blah. The last guy didn't do that, though. There were no anecdotes from this guy. He didn't drop anecdotes. His thought process was very logical, very, very, very logical. He adhered to very good logic the entire time. Jean-Paul Sartre. I think people who believe average racial are partially caused by genetics because it seems to be supported by a strong majority of researchers or the evidence they personally read tend to be quiet about it. On the one end of the spectrum, you have vocal ideologues who might have heard about research that thinks supporters. On the other end, you have researchers who avoid even using the word race and need to be surveyed anonymously because they don't want to be professionals like politics or race realists who are interested in white-ring identity politics tend to be enthusiastic about stuff like embryo selection or hypothetical future genetic engineering and of course trust more yourself use it to argue for basic minimum income and the like, which shouldn't stop being widely demonized. I found this recent survey helpful in getting a sense of the field. How they define experts. Some of the this guy, well, damn, this dude put a lot of effort in this post. Downvoted. -1. Get fucked. I feel like you're missing the point if you only relate these posts to the guy from last night. Okay, well, I mean, this post was made, like, right after I talked to that guy. So, I mean, it's not fair to use him as a comparison. Like, I think these discussions serve an important purpose in how they identify how people can develop warped ways of thinking. Sure, I like this. This is good. Alt-righters are the most dishonest people I've ever talked to. They aren't worth your time because they're incapable of being honest. I mean, but how many of them voted for Trump, right? You have to be cognizant of this type of thought, and I think you need to know how to combat it, and I think you need to know why it's wrong. This is the thing that bothers me the most. This is what bothers me the most, I guess, is like you can't like walk through, Or maybe I'm more mindful of this being a public figure. Like, you have to be careful that you're not walking through with your blinders on and you're like screaming like, ah, da, 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 I know I'm right, I know you're wrong, I know I'm right, you know you're wrong, because that's how you walk into like some really retarded shit. That's how you do that, and then you wake up one day and you're 65 years old and all of your kids and everybody thinks you're a retard and has no fucking idea what you're talking about, and you don't understand why everybody's thinking so many crazy different things because you ignored every single thought that made you uncomfortable or that you kind of disagreed with, and you didn't really spend any time like, you know, considering any arguments for or against anything. Like, I don't like this walking around like, oh, all of these people are wrong and stupid and I don't care about any of them and they're all dumb and stupid and I don't want to hear any of their dumb stupid arguments because it's all stupid and dumb. Like, I just don't like this mentality. The problem is Destiny refuses to attack people on their baseless claims about IQ and race and ends the debate with, nah, his arguments were fine and at least he was being consistent. What? I generally attack people with things that I know to be true. If he brings up specific studies, what am I supposed to do if I'm not familiar with the studies? Sit here and pretend that I've read it? He stopped saying faggots and homophobes wouldn't identify, but he refuses to condemn people who come on stream to talk about ethnic cleansing. I've always condemned ethnic cleansing. This is another problem. Do you think that I support his point of view because I couldn't refute it? Like, do you believe this? Watching people in chat come out of the woodwork defending these guys is disgusting to me, and they find refuge because of the lack of opposition and Destiny refusing to call them out. Like, this is the kind of, like, this kind of talk, that's 68 points. This kind of a post is really troubling to me because I spend a great deal of time trying to get the facts right in this shit, right? Like, I've spent like a decent amount of time, right? Like, I spent enough time that I gave you like a hypothetical example pulled out of my head that we just saw like a fucking lecture at whatever university talking about genetics and heredity, like the exact same one, right? I'd never even seen the lecture before, right? We spend a decent amount of time talking about this stuff. I have very strong opinions in these fields, and I feel like I can back up these arguments better than most people. Better than most people I've talked to, and sure as fuck better than most people in chat, right? So to hear this, like, Destiny never calls these people out, like, I don't know. That like, these kinds of comments really bother me. What am I supposed to do? Like, scream like, you're so fucking retarded, dude. You're so fucking dumb. You're so fucking stupid. Like, what do you want, like the Donald subreddit where we just like ban everybody that talk? Like, I don't know. I don't really like this. Like, I don't understand this. You often let people out of the corner on many points when they refuse to acknowledge is true. Yeah, sure, I do that. That is a problem. But I mean, I'm learning better things in terms of arguing. Like, that's another skill that I have to develop. My ability to argue with people now is way, way, way better than it was 6 months ago. Like, impossibly better. Which I could only like gather by doing more arguments, right? Like, I was able to talk to that last year. Like, the past few arguments I've had with people, I've been incredibly calm the entire time, despite a couple of them, especially the graphs guy, like almost sending me into into fucking orbit. Holy shit. But like, these are skills that have to be developed, like holding people down, pinning people down on points, keeping a mental frame of the conversation, making sure that you're staying on topic, making sure that you're bringing the conversation back to the central point, like at the end of every major topic. Like, yeah, fuck the logical consistency meme. As you say, Destiny to stop being a cuck and actually condemn people. We don't need to live in a society where you should actually try and start to argue with dipshits that, for example, want to defend rape. So, again, this is a problem. Like, if you feel your ideas are good, you should be able to defend them, right? Everybody acts, and this is my problem, is you get these people like this guy, and a lot of you maybe even, and again, like, if you listen to the things that I talk about, right, and you're like, oh yeah, I agree with this with Destiny, blah, 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 like, focus on the thought process. Don't focus on my fucking conclusions. I could give a fuck less about my conclusions, right? The thought process is the most important thing, because that's the thing that's going to guide you for the rest of your life, is that thought process. Conclusions come and go. You can change your fucking mind, you know, every 5 years, depending on what's going on, but the thought process that you have that you use to arrive at conclusions is that one thing that always stays with you and that you can use to navigate, you know, question after question after question after question. Fuck the logical consistency meme. The reason why, like this notion that like just don't be a cuck and just condemn people, like don't even try to argue with people, like blah 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 blah. Like no, dude, like what the fuck? You should feel like if you feel very strongly about a certain idea, you should be able to argue with anybody. What is this cucky bullshit that like if you feel like don't even try to argue with these fucking blah blah blah? Like what the fuck? What do you feel like you can't defend? Do you feel like you can't defend rape as being a bad thing? Do you, like? Is that what you feel? Do you feel like if somebody, because this is a problem with you now, right? This is on you, right? And maybe I got this more, being an atheist and going to a Christian school helped, right? Because I was always of the mindset that I had to test my arguments or else somebody would like call me out of my shit, right? Like, do you really feel this way? That like if somebody were to start to argue in favor of rape, you wouldn't be able to logically shut it down? There are real enemies out there. It isn't just people with consistency, people with their own ideas. Maybe Hitler would impress Destiny with his logical consistency if he called him up on Skype somehow from the year 1939, move beyond this bullshit, maybe stop it altogether and actually do some moderate discussions going rather than extreme retards who watch too many YouTube videos and start spewing extremist rhetoric for an hour. But this is the problem. You can't ignore it. Just because you don't like it, just because it makes you uncomfortable, just because intuitively or common sensely or whatever it appears so fucking wrong to you, doesn't mean that you get to just throw it all away and say fuck them, right? Like, for me personally, I draw a clear line when human rights and the basic principle of equality are thrown to the side. There needs to be a bottom of the barrel that we hit rather than entertaining these retards and their ideas for YouTube archive of autism. But like who is it? Are you in chat? Is this guy in chat? I don't think he is.
People don't seem to realize that you're not in this to beat others into some sort submission. By discussing ideas that might make you uncomfortable, vulnerable, or challenged is in itself a path to a greater understanding of self.
The problem is that you don't have background, or in this case, the case of the race realist, the obsession with the subject, so you just run up against the study. So what's the point if you aren't a PhD in the field or a similar? Then you have to do the research or figure out what the experts think so that you can reject these arguments. Like, this is the problem. My problem is that, like, when I read stuff like this, I am very, very, very confident, okay? I have a high degree of confidence in myself that I could argue in favor of eugenics and race realism and the idea that there are vast differences in IQ amongst racial groups of people, and I could win these arguments against the majority of the people in here, right? That I would come out looking like I am correct because I know more about the topics, like vastly more about the topics, and because I could structure my arguments in a reasonable way compared to what I am positive are the overwhelming emotional responses that I would get out of these people, right? And that's bad. That shouldn't be a thing. You shouldn't want that, right? Like that shouldn't be. Then again, Steven is a good capitalist guy, Goyim, and I think he sees value in this garbage content because it makes him money, positive EQ, EV, and all that bullshit. Maybe doing this kind of garbage reality show with the scum of the people online is what he's content with for his brand, but I think he's missing an actual opportunity to become a real political commentator. You're asking for real cancer. That's like, you want somebody to come out here. You want to wheel somebody out here to talk to people, right, without ever showing you a viewpoint that you really disagree with, something that makes you uncomfortable, something that challenges, right, what you actually think. I understand the frustration because that's what it feels like. It feels like frustration here, right? But you should see that as a challenge that you have to rise to. When somebody comes into a thread and they fire off a fucking mountain of links at you, like, oh fuck, well this guy's crazy. I don't right. Wait, no, we'll fucking understand what the fuck he's saying. Is he fucking full of shit? Because what if he's right? Right? What if he is right? Maybe the things they're talking about do have some merit. Do you want to stand on the wrong side of that? Do you want to be on the side screaming them down because you were too lazy or stupid or intellectually dishonest to do any bit of reading or research on your own, or even acknowledging that there might be a little bit of validity to their side? Not that I'm saying there is here, but I don't think that this poster right? Has the competence to know whether or not it does. So like this idea that like, don't talk to these people that are really mean. Like, I want you to become a real political commentator. Talk to people that we like mostly agree with, maybe circle jerk a little, and then just go after like the real baddies that are real dumb and not that offensive. Like, really? Like, if you would watch and I'm sorry, I'll read and respond to chat a little bit. If you would watch and comment on the Young Turks, for example, a channel that he will definitely find himself on at odds, but who can actually present a consistent logos in their ideas, or at least give him actual decent content or opinions that he can comment such disagreement that's not the most extremist shit imaginable, or do commentary about current events, which would involve lots of homework and studying on his part, then he could really get an interesting thing going. Personally, I'm not going to watch this garbage. Like, so we watch the Young Turks and do commentary on commentary. Like, I disagree with the guy in this thread, the Darren, who claims Destiny invites random morons on so he can show to undecided people just how fucked up some are. No, Destiny's just picking low-hanging fruit content, and you should ask him to do better. I think we all agree we want more of the videos like the one on the history buff or JF. I personally want him to take a hard stance and draw a fucking line beyond whelp. His logic is, I can't argue with that. You're not this dumb. Step away from the bottom of the barrel. Like, this is what bothers me. Like, I have a very hard stance, but I don't think he understands the difference between having a hard stance on something and being hard-headed as fuck. Like, just because you have a hard stance on something doesn't mean that you, one, can't listen to or respond to any argument on their side, or two, admit that there might not be something that you don't know, right? This idea that you have to be so fucking invested in your position that if you ever say something like, oh, that's interesting, I'll consider that, or I'm not sure about that, I need to look into that, I'll get back to you, like, all of a sudden you're some radical alt-centrist, right? Because you're willing to admit that there's something you don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't like this. I think this post reeks of like intellectual cancer, in my opinion. I think this is just, everything about this is like cancerous as fuck. Maybe tomorrow I have a different mindset and I'm just watching and laugh at the guy's stupidity, but I'm too tired of this right now. I think that these issues on race, in my opinion, are one of the most important topics to discuss around the world right now. I think that immigration, even though some people will disagree and some people will shout it with open arms, I think immigration is one of the most important topics worldwide right now, in the Western world. I think that immigration is single-handedly fueling the Le Pens, the Brexits, and the Trumps. I think it's one of the biggest topics right now, and a lot of it comes down to white versus brown. Like, pretty much what Op said. I personally hate the debate now. If it was people like Shkreli, it was fine, but randoms that have no knowledge of the subject they're discussing is pointless. We didn't talk about anything with Shkreli, though. It was just kind of like hanging out and broing around for a little bit. We didn't get into any real topics. We didn't get into any deep things at all. We didn't really discover anything cool or talk about anything really interesting. The talk with Shkreli was largely like mutual masturbation. A good example is the economic debates on immigration. The people discussing debates have no knowledge of economics past young. When one was the point of discussing with someone, unless they have something meaningful to contribute, sure. Remember Mike Spam, if this is your post, this is one of the most retarded fucking things I've ever read in my life. Remember that Destiny's values are warped due to his platform. Because of what he does for a living, he is forced to accept the axiom that all ideas are equally worthy of discussion. I genuinely don't believe Destiny agrees with this, but he's forced to accept it. I've done literally like whatever the fuck I've wanted to for my entire life. I've decried an entire organization like because they blacklisted me from an event. I burned more fucking bridges single-handedly than probably any other person in this industry. Like, I will shit on my subscribers and ban them if they irritate me. Like, I'll do this shit all fucking day. This is like this kind of straw man is another like really annoying thing, and I see it a lot. Like this really easy way to dismiss everything. It's like, oh, Destiny, he's just trying to be the radical centrist. Oh, Destiny, he's just trying to be a contrarian. This is doubly annoying because I back up. This is actually triply annoying because not only do I back up my positions, but I stand by every position I've ever taken permanently. There is no point in my entire streaming career where you ever have to wonder what I have thought about anything ever. You never, ever. Like, well, what did Destiny think about using the word faggot in 2012? Like, you can find videos and posts of me illustrating exactly what I believe. There is never a mystery or a question. What did Destiny think about this here? Oh, well, here's like a 2-hour talk on exactly. It's never, I don't ever do any kind of ambiguous bullshit. Like, it's very, very clear what I think all the time. So this idea that like, oh, Destiny just thinks all ideas are worthy of discussion. I don't think he really thinks that, but he has to because of his platform. Like, nah, come on, dude. I'm not going to talk about the question, though. I think this part is stretching a little bit, but I think this is a decent post by Excuse Me, but... Seriously, though, that guy was a very good debater. No, he wasn't. Source, am debate coach. Seriously fucking doubt it. Who is this guy? I seriously doubt it. Who is he? Is he in my chat? I can't think of username. Mia thinks you're being biased in your version of his views then. The dude established his value, utilitarianism, fleshed out a criterion, so societal aggregate IQ, then constructed contentions for why cultural diversity is overvalued and the IQ difference among groups. Sure, yes, yeah, exactly. This is the thought process that I value above all else, above all conclusions. This is what I value, what Excuse Me is talking about, right? When I'm talking to people, it's usually some this is how most of my conversations go with people, okay? I'll do another illustration, even though I talk about this a million times, okay? Look, this is me, okay? And these are usually the people that I argue with, okay? So we're talking about some bullshit, like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, oh, well, have you ever thought about this thing? And they're like, oh, fuck, dude, I don't fucking know. What the fuck? I've never even considered that. Or sometimes they have, like, okay, well, how about, like, this level deeper, right? And then they're like, oh, I don't even fucking know, right?
Love you, buddy.
Generally, these are how most of my conversations go. It's usually once you dig a little bit deeper, they're totally clueless, right? But the guy that I talked to yesterday or a couple days ago was like, well, first of all, I believe in this thing right here, okay? And because I believe in this thing, right, I think that this thing has to be true. And now let's discuss this here, right? Now that we've moved through these two things, right? I love this type of hyper rational thought, this constructing thought. This guy, like the guy that we talked to yesterday, literally started with like fucking like fundamental philosophical axioms of belief. Like he literally started at the bottom and built his whole position from bottom to top. And I really appreciate that thought structure. Now, I disagreed with a lot of the shit up here, and I even disagreed with a lot of what was going on down here. I didn't like the religious arguments in the beginning. He admitted as much, that it would kind of, you would have to sidestep a lot to go through that kind of shit, which is but like at least he went, I knew that he had taken the time to establish all of this before trying to argue for this, right? I think that was, I really appreciated that. Essentially what X Kills Me is talking about here. I would be very surprised if, I don't know. Destiny, I remember you having a discussion about college players getting paid a few years ago. Have you thought about going back to lighter topics, or would you rather spend your time on what you've been arguing recently? I don't know. The deeper topics pull in like a lot more shit. I don't know. I find these topics to be really interesting. All right. When you're talking about things like immigration, you're going into like the fundamental essence of being human, right? Like literally, like the topics that you have to go into to really understand these things. What does it mean to be black or white? Like, what is a race, right? What is intelligence? You know, what is ancestry? Like the like, I don't know. I find that these topics are a lot more fruitful. Like getting to the bottom, like if you find a solution here, or every little tidbit of information that I discover, right? You know, understanding that race is a literal social concept, like all of these little pieces of information. Anytime I find out another new nugget here is very, very, very fruitful. Like it makes me feel really good. I feel very there's like I don't know what, a sense of fulfillment when you dig into and learn about some of this stuff. Not necessarily in the same way that like, oh, you know, I actually found out that a college athlete is valued at, you know, 6 figures and they should be paid for it. Like, there we go, he solved that problem. Like, I don't know, I feel like I don't know, I like these conversations. Does it bother you that even in attempting to prevent people from adopting certain views, that you also give these views a platform to propagate from? They already have these platforms to propagate from. Oh, I wonder why he didn't respond to this comment. This would be interesting. Oh, damn. He didn't respond to like any of the tough questions. This guy's post history is fucking crazy. If you want to read some crazy shit, this guy is like insane. Holy fuck. Does he not respond to a single challenging call out? Destiny has a huge hole here. He's never heard of anyone starts. Humans evolve significantly different traits and different enzymes. You could have offered dozens of examples of traits we evolved separately in a short amount of time. Lactose intolerance, MOA alleles, which correspond to aggression, or even more obvious in skin color. I don't think I agree that these minor differences and like maybe the way that we digest something or whatever are quite as significant as like differences in innate intelligence. I don't know if I agree with that, or like skin color. Referring to the domesticated dog's weak argument because it allows Destiny to differentiate between natural and artificial selection, although you could argue there is no real distinction to humans by themselves. Artificial selection. If you haven't already, I suggest you read a book, A Troublesome Inheritance Without Arguments for Recent Human Evolution. You have to remain on the offensive. Perhaps by asserting that all scientific evidence points to inherent IQ differences and that there are no studies in existence which suggest racial equality in IQ, that would put the onus on Destiny to provide evidence of racial equality, of which there is none.
This is why Destiny has discussions. He's not trying to win anything. Does it matter if I believe Destiny should host me after this stream? Fuck no. What matters is why I think I deserve our Lord and Savior should give me his Twitch revenue. P.S. Gimme.
I think most on the right arrived at that position by questioning the assertions of the mainstream, which is leftist, and found those assertions to be illogical. Of course. Whereas those on the left avoid consideration of any ideological opponents because their own beliefs typically do not stand up to scrutiny. Hey, so I think that half of what this guy is saying is retarded, but what does this sound like? Whereas those on the Destiny.gg subreddit avoid consideration of any ideological opponents because their own beliefs typically do not stand up to scrutiny. Or, I'm sorry, on the left, not on Destiny.gg subreddit. In my experience, leftists are only prepared to debate positions that they themselves have assigned to the opposition rather than the positions the opposition actually hold. It's smoke and mirrors. They don't give a shit about IQ. They just want the white family to be away from all the other people. I've talked to a lot of them.
Yo Destiny, when do you plan on debating Jordan Peterson on gender pronouns?
Oh god, I don't know about that, dude. He is right, but the right does it just as much. Yeah, but this is what I'm asking of you. To be a better human, okay? To not be the right, to not be the left, to not say, well, they do it, so we do it, so they do it, so I do it, so they do it, so I'm gonna do it. Like, identify a cancerous fucking behavior, like people using straw men, identify it as a cancerous behavior, understand that it is a cancerous behavior, and then reject it as a cancerous behavior. Don't embrace it, okay, as a tool to get even with somebody else, right? This is not how intelligent people develop, right? You're doing yourself a disservice by acting this way. Do you understand? All right, I'm gonna get a glass of water real fast. Hit him up with the DMCA. Wait, what? Okay, I'm talking to a dude. Wait, what? Wait, that wasn't what was posted on the subreddit, was it? All right. Can somebody give me the link to my VOD? Okay, I'm talking to a dude. I don't know why. Dude, I don't know why, or good luck. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
Good luck. How you doing?
Pretty good.
You're such a cocksucker? What? He fucking ripped my whole fucking convo. What the fuck? What do you mean? I thought the guy asked towards the end of the debate whether he not he could use the conversation for his own memes. Wait, did he? Does anybody remember that? Oh, fuck, I don't remember. Made the state we can influence on our end is the policy or the environmental side. So I will constantly push for and rail for the environmental side to be improved, to try to improve people's outcomes or outlooks in life. Since there's, I mean, short of genetic engineering, we can't do much. I mean, obviously, you're intelligent. Well, I mean, your brain is fully heritable, right? Like you grow. And again, like I think Murray was the one that gave the example, like invent a human and remove his brain and see how intelligent the environment it makes him, right? And also. I don't remember mastering this.
Yeah.
I came here for the Factorio gameplay. Oh. I'll retitle my shit meme, sorry. Why can't I like claim people's vids for the revenue? Is that not possible to do?
Hello.
20 minutes. Hold on one second. Let me get a drink, then we'll play a game of PUBG.